Hello, my name is Christina Oler and I am an academic coach here at SNHU. Today I'm walking you through how to use a checklist to improve and edit your thesis statement. To look at our thesis checklist, click the link in the video description and follow along. So, you've written a thesis for an assignment for one of your courses, but you're stuck wondering if this thesis you've drafted could be improved in some way. The thesis outlines the main idea or focus of an essay, which makes it a key component for your writing assignment. Taking a few minutes to review and revise your thesis is very important. But how do you know where to start? Don't sweat. Try using our thesis checklist to get an idea of what you've done right and where you can make some changes. The first step is to reread your thesis. Reading out loud works best because it allows you to really hear how the words and ideas flow together. Our checklist is divided up into 3 columns. On the left-hand side, you'll see a list of questions. Next to each question, you'll see a square that corresponds to either yes or no. Read through each question one at a time. If you can answer yes to that question, place a check mark in the box under yes. If you answer no, place a check mark in the box under no. These answers provide you feedback on what you've correctly included in your thesis, as well as what elements could be revised. The more questions that you can answer yes to, the stronger your thesis is likely to be. If you happen to answer no to any question, then you've also found a place where revision is needed. All of the questions are also color coded. The colors are meant to clearly help you find out exactly what you can revise about your thesis. Look at the bottom of the page to see what each color means and to find links to other resources that can help you make specific revisions to your thesis. Once you've read through the checklist, use it to make some edits to your thesis. Can you now answer yes to the checklist question? If so, you may be well on your way to improving your thesis. It may take some time, but the results of fixing your thesis will be worth it when you go to write out your essay. Let's practice with an example together. I'll take you through the process of revising a thesis using the checklist. Here's my example thesis. William Shakespeare should be remembered as one of the greatest writers in history. Question 1. Does your thesis answer the prompt or research question? The prompt I'm using is, who should be remembered as one of the greatest writers in history? As you can see, I've directly answered the prompt. My answer is William Shakespeare, and this is what I'll defend in my essay. I've also used some of the wording from the prompt, which can help you with this step. I'm going to check yes for this box. Question 2. Does your thesis preview the topics or ideas that you're going to discuss in more detail in your body paragraphs, your key points? As you can see, I haven't provided any ideas after my answer. I haven't explained why I chose William Shakespeare. In American essay writing, you want to give your reader a full preview of your points. I'm going to check no and make some revisions. After revisions, now my thesis says, William Shakespeare should be remembered as one of the greatest writers in history because of his memorable characters, universal themes, and his poetic language. This thesis is an improvement because it directly tells the reader what I will be writing about in my body paragraphs. From this thesis, you can see that I will spend the first part of my essay talking about his characters, the second part of my essay talking about his universal themes, and the third part of my essay praising his poetic language. This also helps me as a writer because I know exactly what I'll be writing about and in what order. Question 3. If someone only read this thesis statement, could they get a good idea of what your entire essay was going to be about? For this question, I'm going to check yes. It's clear what my topic is and what my main points will be. It's easy to understand even before I write any other part of my paper. Question 4. Could someone make an opposing argument against your thesis? Someone could certainly disagree with my ideas. They could argue that Shakespeare is actually an overrated or boring writer. They could come up with different key points than the ones I created. I could definitely see an opposing side to this thesis, so I will check yes for this question. Question 5. Based on the research you've done and the facts you've gathered, do you have enough information to support your thesis? To answer this one, you'll need to look over your sources and notes, so hopefully you've kept them somewhere handy. For more on research, look to the video description below. I'm going to check yes for this box because I have several online sources that I'm going to use that back up all of my ideas. Question 6. Check the rubric for the page requirement. Will you be able to effectively answer this thesis within the required amount? For this assignment, my teacher said that the paper needed to be 2 to 3 pages. If I write one paragraph for each key point, plus introduction and conclusion paragraphs, I should be able to stay within the limit. I'll need to make sure that I don't go overboard with details, but I do believe that I can address this thesis within the limit. I will check yes. Question 7. Does your thesis use specific, precise language instead of general or overused words? When I'm looking over my thesis, I do see some general words, but those mainly come from the prompt. I could probably go back and revise them and use more specific words to create a more unique thesis. So I will check no and make revisions. Now my thesis reads, William Shakespeare should be honored as one of the most talented writers in history because of his memorable characters, universal themes, and his poetic language. There. Now the thesis is a little bit more specific, and my thesis should stand apart from the ones my classmates write because I've used more of my own words. Question 8. If you read the thesis aloud, does it sound clear and not too wordy or long? I read the thesis aloud and I did not stumble or have any problem reading any part of it. I made sure it was in parallel structure, which means that every item in the list was written in the same grammatical form. I'll check yes for this one. Question 9. Is your thesis free of qualifiers that may weaken your argument? I haven't included any words like really, very, probably, or numerous that may create doubt in my answer. I haven't used I think, I feel, or any other hedges. I am straight to the point because I know I can prove it. That means I can check yes for this question too. And now I've reached the end of my checklist. I had one question check for no in the red group, which means I needed to make sure my thesis was focused enough. I added the key points, which improved the focus. I checked one no in the purple group, which means I needed to make sure my thesis was a little clearer. Based on the questions I answered yes to, I know that my thesis is arguable and has good scope. That should make me feel confident about what I did correctly with my thesis. When it comes to writing, identifying what you did well is just as important as revising mistakes. I hope this example has been helpful to walk through together. In this video, we discussed the thesis checklist and went over the process of using it to check your own thesis statements. Please see the video description for more information on this topic. Thank you for watching.